Welcome to News9 Mediaverse, and you are watching On Point with Karthikeya. In today's edition, we will talk about the fragile peace in Manipur. Internet ban has returned, and protests continue to rock Imphal city. The Central Bureau of Investigation Team 2 has landed in Manipur to investigate the killing of two young people. But what is important is the statement of Foreign Minister Jaishankar, who said that the migrants have had a destabilizing impact on the Manipur situation. Let's play out the bite of Foreign Minister Jaishankar first.
What is happening today in Manipur? I think one part of the problem in Manipur has been the destabilizing impact of migrants who have come. That's one aspect of it. But there are also tensions which obviously have a long history which precede that. Today, I think the effort is on the part of the state government and the union government to find a way by which a sense of normalcy returns, that arms which were seized during that period are recovered, that there is an adequate law and order enforcement out there so that incidents of violence don't happen.
And the situation in Manipur has completely destabilized. The police was deployed yesterday. Even today the police was deployed on the streets of Manipur. The children came out. Tear gas was being used. Chief Minister has made an appeal. Internet has been shut down. Manipur has been declared tense. AFSPA has been continued in the hill areas. In fact, schools too have been closed. So Manipur, which was getting normal, has gone back to the brink again because two children belonging to the Meitei community, they were picked and killed. The matter has been handed over to the Central Bureau of Investigation, but has enraged the entire valley as to why this killing has taken place. But this killing has had a deep impact on the psyche of Manipur, thing which was a sort of situation which was coming to a change or was on the precipice of a change, has gone back to the brink. Look at the people who are out there on the street. Look what the government had to do, in fact, to take back certain decisions which they had announced 24 hours earlier. Biren Singh has also spoken on this issue. Let's first listen to Biren Singh and then to Gaurav Gogoi, who attacked the government. But first to the Chief Minister of Manipur, Biren Singh.
जो 3 मई से जो हुआ है, तो लास्ट सितंबर 2-3 महीना तो थोड़ा चल रहा था फायरिंग वगैरह छोटा, लेकिन 1-1.5 महीने से अभी दोनों साइड से फायरिंग वगैरह बंद है और पीस रेस्टोर हो रहा है, अभी शांति आ रहा है। इसी बीच में दुख की बात है कि जो मेरा अपने एक मैतेई लड़की और एक लड़का, एक तो 17 साल का है लिंथोंगम्बे और एक तो है हेमंतजीत, तो दोनों को मिसिंग हुआ था जुलाई से तारीख में। तो उसी से हम लोग को उसको ट्रेस करने के लिए कोशिश काफ़ी किया। तो उसका कम्प्लेक्सिटी देख के हमने ये केस को 28 अगस्त को हम सीबीआई को सौंपा था। तो कल एक वायरल वीडियो आया, पिक्चर आया कि वो दोनों का डेड बॉडी का फोटो दिखा के, तो उसी से थोड़ा स्टूडेंट बॉडी लोग यहाँ पे थोड़ा ह्यू एंड क्राई कर रहा है, क्योंकि हम लोग भी है, नॉट ओनली द स्टूडेंट बॉडी, हम लोग भी बहुत आफ्टर वो सीन देखने के बाद में हम लोग को बहुत दुखी हुआ है और हाईली कंडेमनेबल एक्ट है तो जो कुकी मिलिटेंट ने किया है उसको हम हाइनेस का क्राइम बोलता है। इसीलिए आज, लेकिन लकी बात यह है कि गृह मंत्री जी अमित शाह जी ने तुरंत कल ही शाम को मेरे को टेलीफोन करके बोला कि तुम चिंता मत करो, सब प्रजा को भाषण दो, विश्वास दो कि हम कल ही स्पेशल डायरेक्टर सीबीआई भेज रहा है उसके टीम के साथ। तो होते हुए आज नून में आ गया और सीबीआई का स्पेशल डायरेक्टर है अजय भटनागर आईपीएस, वो एलोंग विथ हिज टीम आ गया और जो घटना हुआ है उसी का साइड में विजिट किया हुआ है। तो अभी हम वो आने के बाद में हम मिलेंगे और हम ये पब्लिक को, मणिपुर प्रजा को ये वाचन देता हूँ कि जो कल्प्रिट है, जो मर्डरर है, उसको हम सजा देंगे ही देंगे।
And now listen in to Gaurav Gogoi, the Congress MP who attacked the state government on what is happening in Manipur in last 48 hours.
पिछले कुछ दिनों में हमें पता चला है कि दो मासूम युवाओं को किस अमानवीय प्रकार से अपहरण किया गया, मारा गया और उनके शव के जो चित्र सामाजिक माध्यम में सबने देखे हैं, वो दिल को दहलाने वाले चित्र हैं। तो हम सबसे पहले इन दो मासूम युवाओं के परिवारों के प्रति कांग्रेस पार्टी अपनी संवेदना व्यक्त करती है। हम इंसाफ की मांग करते हैं और जिस अमानवीयता से इन दोनों को मारा गया, हम चाहते हैं कि अपराधियों को जल्द से जल्द पकड़ा जाए और उन पर ठोस कार्रवाई सरकार करे। ऐसे माहौल में मणिपुर के छात्र विरोध कर रहे हैं, सड़क पे आए हैं और उनके दर्द और उनके आक्रोश को कांग्रेस पार्टी समझती है और इस दुख की घड़ी में हम मणिपुर के छात्रों के साथ खड़े हैं। मणिपुर के माताओं और पिताओं के साथ, मणिपुर के शिक्षक समाज के साथ, हर नागरिक के साथ आज कांग्रेस पार्टी खड़ी है इस दुख की घड़ी में।
And I'm also going to show you certain visuals of a house burning, which was the BJP office in Kongjam, which was burnt. Kongjam is part of the Imphal rally. Let me play out these pictures in full frame so that you understand what is happening in Manipur. Let me just repeat it again. Manipur has undergone severe turmoil after the killing of two Meitei children. This turmoil has not only destabilized the valley, but it has brought back internet ban, except 19 areas. Entire area has been declared disturbed. Jaishankar has also made a very important statement, Foreign Minister. And that statement is that the immigrants have had a destabilizing impact. I am joined by Ramini Ranjan Desai, author of Scholar Northeast, Dr. Thangulal Haukep, Assistant Professor, Center for Study of Law and Governance, Major General Ashwani Sivach. Thank you all of you for joining me. General Sivach, I'll come to you first. The peace was so fragile that it took one incident to break the entire administration down so that the internet ban is back. Areas are declared disturbed. AFSPA gets continued. General Sivach.
No doubt. See, the point which is happening is that the distrust and mistrust between the two communities is still very large. And why a violence was not taking place in between was that buffer zone was made by the security forces and both the varying groups were a distance apart. But that does not mean that the relations have improved, that they still start believing to each other. The moment you find this couple, a boy and girl of Meitei being caught by the Kuki community, the way they have treated them, this is, send us a very wrong message. We all are feel so sorry for that young boy and girl that they've been lynched and killed. So it only shows that the distrust is huge and it can happen either side. The point what we are trying to convey is how do we build up this distrust and mistrust to be removed? This is not coming, and this we are not getting successful. No, as it is, we are telling it, there is a violence in the society. Till the weapon does not come out of the society, you will not find the violence coming down. And for that, you have to do a calming operation. You also make sure that the new weapon don't come from Myanmar. There has to be a requirement of carrying out a fencing there. There is a requirement of sealing the border. All those points are repeated time and again. The point now it is there is that we become slightly, carefree, thinking the situation is improving because there have been no death taken place in last 15-20 days.
Okay.
One such incident take place and we go back to square one.
You know, but
The
this
point
incident,
today is-
but General Sivat, this incident also has broken the myth of a one-sided violence. You know, it tell you violence was all pervasive. Violence and participation of people happened from each and every quarter of Manipur. It was not located in a community. So that is one part of it which is very sad. I am also joined by Rami Niranjan Desai. Rami, today, you know, there are 5 important parts of this discussion. The first and the foremost is what Foreign Minister Jaishankar has said in the sidelines of the UNGA. He says one aspect of Manipur is that migrants have destabilized the situation. The second aspect of the conversation is internet ban. The third aspect of the conversation, the disturbed area. Only 19 areas are stable and rest, all of them disturbed. Fourth, the schools have been closed. And fifth, despite CBI being there is so much of anger. But first I'll start from Jaishankar's statement. What do you make of it when Foreign Minister says openly that the migrants have played a part in disturbing the situation in Manipur? Does it clearly indicate what the government in Delhi is thinking? Clear indication?
Good evening, Karthikeya. Karthikeya, your question is very valid, but I really cannot start from there. Please allow me 2 minutes to start from saying that this is truly a dark day, not just for Manipur, but for all of us across the country. I don't think we can really fathom the impact of, this diabolical event of murdering 2 innocent children and the impact that it has had on everyone, and the healing, if it ever happens, is now so long away. Conflicts happen and some are prolonged and some are vicious, but when vulnerable, defenseless and helpless groups are used for fodder, for one-upmanship of communities, we know that we have reached the end of humanity as we know it. What was the fault of these children? How were they stakeholders of this conflict? But unfortunately, Karthikeya, really unfortunately and tragically so, it's not even the murders. The worst part is something even more vicious than that, is the devious, grander design in releasing these heart-wrenching videos, these photos, at a time when things were just about normalizing. So it's almost like there are external agencies, which we've been saying for a really long time, who keep instigating and preventing the state from coming back or limping back into normalcy. The second worst part, and again, as unfortunate that it is the whataboutery that I have heard. The whataboutery that completely ignores the dangers of what whataboutery can do. Because, when you start saying, but what about this, what about that, you forget that this incident opens the doors for fringe elements to take advantage of this situation that just does not impact one community. It impacts the entire state. And the third thing I want to say here, Karthikeya, is the communalization of this tragedy. As if one crime is worse than the other bases the community. I really only hope, and I was at work and I rushed back to join your debate, Karthikeya, today, because I really hope that through your debate we understand today that we keep the sensitivity of this situation in mind and make that foremost, because this is no longer political. This is personal, as it should be for all of us. Now, Karthikeya, coming to your point about what Dr. Jaishankar said, I don't think it's been lost on anybody except Dr. Hauke, who defied this and denied this, that there was no illegal infiltration into the state. We have said this from day one. People on ground have said this from day one, that illegal infiltration, even And it doesn't matter what the number is. Even if it is one person, it is one person too many, and that can have an adverse effect on the state. And I think anybody who wishes the betterment of the state has to take the situation very seriously. And Dr. Jaishankar obviously is speaking with facts. You can doubt me, but you cannot doubt the External Affairs Minister of this country. As for the protests, and as for sadly the state going back into the position that it didn't want to be in, the fact of the matter is that emotions are running high. And I can only say that it is really important for Manipur to realize that they need to be safe, they need to be smart, and they need not play into the hands of what vested interests want, which is the complete destabilizing of Manipur so that they can get what they want.
Rajesh, before I go to Dr. Haukip, I would like an opening comment from you in the development which has ravaged Manipur in the last 48 hours.
We discussed this thing yesterday, and I completely agree with Rami that what happened, the visuals and all, like it just shatters your belief in humanity, and also it's so heart wrenching for the family, for the loved one. They will never ever be able to get out of this. I honestly don't know how to describe this thing. But the fact of the matter is that yes, with this incident, the Manipur is on boil again. With this incident, all that fragile peace which we were talking about, all that hopes which we were talking about, that these are the steps which can be taken to restore normalcy and all that we have gone back 180 degrees to where we started. Now it will be a very tough task on the part of the state government to bring the situation back to normalcy. It will be a doubly difficult task for security forces, because now there are voices from the Meitei communities, voices from other communities also, which are raising question mark about the police force, security personnel and all. So I think all in all the situation is getting it has gotten from bad to worse.
Okay, Dr. Haukip, is it like that? Is it like what happened in Assam? The tension when the immigration took place, and if you saw that subsequently, Dr. Haukip, the election was fought in, I think 7 years ago, the Khilonjia Sarkar, the government of the indigenous. It became a political rallying point when for the first time BJP came to power. The word Khilonjia was used. I'm just using it as an analogy. Do you think that it's like that? It is creating a problem now, the migrants? Dr. Haukip?
Yes, Kartike, when the foreign minister talks about migrants, which migrants are we talking about? I was having this construction of my own house in Manipur a few years ago, and I had extensively used migrant workforce from West Bengal and Assam for the construction of my house itself. So whose migrants are we talking about? If we are talking about people who seek refuge due to the crisis in Myanmar, then I have acknowledged that there may be population. Let there be a documentation and let them settle there for a while, and let us properly document them and send them back when there is a semblance of normalcy in Myanmar. And I hope so that in the last few months, the Manipur government has done the needful, and now there is a documentation of those migrants, so-called migrants who are seeking refuge in the border land in Manipur. They have been documented. So we have to look into the issue. Unless documenting them, unless taking out a kind of a head count or census for those people who seek refuge, then we can't just say that Manipur stability is due to migrants. We have to differentiate between these two. And in Manipur there is a huge difference between what is being said and what is done on the ground. For instance, the Chief Minister of Manipur has just assured the people that justice will be served, on the killing of these two students. We feel so bad, from the 4th of May, we have been facing this. We have been looking into the videos and pictures of many who were killed in Imphal and other places. So right now, the situation is also being felt by the other groups. So we are in the same, situation now, that the pain, of being your people, your loved ones being killed, tortured, raped, all these things we have already face this. And we also feel the pain right now regarding these two students. And there is an argument that, Manipur is a hill state, right? And all the laws should be uniformly applied in this state. This argument has been going on for the last few years. But let me tell you, the kind of differential treatment that has been meted out. The ITLF has made, an observation that there is a delay in the implementation of this kind of, many things. For instance, in terms of investigations on the crisis in Manipur with regard to the cases where hill people were, the victims. On the other hand, today we have, an issue yesterday, and the Chief Minister announced that there will be a CBI inquiry, and immediately within 24 hours, a special flight has been arranged for the CBI personnel to arrive in Imphal, and he already made very clear that they have arrived in the afternoon today. So this kind of the differential treatment is there between the hills and the valley. You can't talk about applying different the same laws without implementing what is being done.
Okay, but Mr. Aukip, I'm reading out a statement of ITLF Women's Wing convener Mary Joan, who led the protest in Chura Chandpur, and she says that the rally is against the prompt action of the CBI into killing of the two teenagers. The rally is against the prompt action of the CBI into killing of the two teenagers who were in love and had eloped. However, there were many incidents of tribal women being raped, paraded naked, and men being killed, but no CBI inquiry was conducted. How long can this sense of selective and personal injury sustain itself, General Sivaj? How long can it be? CBI has come for a case. How long can this continue to happen? My case versus your case. You have to unmute yourself, General Sivaj.
Yeah, as far as this case is, the CBI inquiry has been ordered. So there are certain quarters which, this thing is coming. Why a CBI inquiry has ordered in such a case when such cases have taken place in past also, and that time the CBI inquiry was not ordered. I don't think that is the correct strategy. This is the incident which wants a CBI inquiry, and we should go in. No, Dr. S. Jaishankar, when he pointed out that there is an involvement of migrants, there is no doubt. What he is talking about is the migrants which has come basically from Myanmar. And that is especially after the military junta has taken over in Myanmar, there have been a lot of turmoil. And a certain population, Chin population possibly, has come from there, got migrated and settled in the hills in Manipur.
Okay.
And they possibly, that is what he must be meaning, and they are involved in also poppy cultivation. And this has also changed the complex of the complete area. But certainly this is not the only problem. The problem is multifarious. I am saying that yes, migrant is also one of the issues which has come. That's why we are talking about it, that with the migrants, weapons have also come. When we are talking about 5,000 to 7,000 weapons have been looted from police armory, there are another 5,000 weapons which have been illegally come from Myanmar to Manipur. So therefore the question comes, until and unless you don't seal this border, this honeymoon of 16 kilometers this side, that side has to be stopped now, because it is not working out. Since the border is porous, you find anyone and everyone coming from Myanmar to Manipur, they are the ones which are either settling down, getting involved into poppy cultivation. Lot of weapons are coming. This will keep the area disturbed. So we have to now make a new strategy. But certainly I agree on one issue. As on today, the peace has not come. This was a bluff. The thing is that there is a distrust between both the communities still. The peace is only because there is a buffer zone. So we have to take a de novo look. How do we handle it? The weapons are still at large on both sides, and whosoever gets an opportunity, he use violence against the other one. And that is the problem which is coming in. As a nation, we have to be very worried. We don't want an innocent life to be lost, but it is being lost from both sides. And that is what is the cause of concern. How do we bring peace in the area is a mute question. How do we get this weapon out of this society is the second question. Third question is, how do we seal the border between Myanmar and Manipur is the third question.
Brijesh, the word which the general used, the peace was a bluff. You can say you can have a debate on it, but the fact of the matter is, it just shows how fragile the atmosphere in Manipur was. How superficial the semblance of peace was. It has taken only 48 hours, and the recovery of a photograph through social media that two people who eloped were brutally killed in July, and the discovery of that.
Kartikeya, first, I honestly don't think that there was any assumption about peace making return. All that was a smokescreen, because everybody was hoping for the best. So that hope deluded you into all of us into believing that that there's a fragile peace. And the thing is that with as and when internet ban gets lifted for a longer duration of time, I think we will also get to know about several other ghastly crimes that have taken place. And I think we should be prepared, we should be ready for witnessing these kind of periodic reminders of how gruesome last 4 months have been for the state of Manipur. There are various actions. It has to be dealt at multiple levels. Kartikeya, if the government of India feels that it's the migrants which are causing this big a problem, then the government of India must also come forward and tell what kind of action they have taken in the last 4 months to ensure that there is a massive dip in the migration problem. What kind of combing efforts, what kind of liberty which has been given to Indian Army, or how has the crackdown by both Assam Rifles and Manipur Police, how effective it has been. There are no answers to that. There were a couple of press conferences which were held by ADG and Home Secretary. But I mean, those were the only two press conferences which revealed the extent of weaponry which you got, the number of dead people and not. But those were just stats, because there's no clear-cut picture of how coherent and how formidable the crackdown has been. And unless you start doing that, several things at one go, there is no way you are going to have these peace. And I think one video there and this photograph there, very heinous crime, beheading of an individual. I mean, as and when the mirage of peace will emerge on the anvil, I think it will get shattered by one such brutal incident.
I think General Sivaj also made another point, Rami, that the peace is there because you have a boundary. You have people manning certain areas.
That's forced peace, Kartikeya. That's not peace.
What the form of peace which exists is because you have a border manning. If that border or the so-called boundary or the so-called buffer zone, if it goes away, then you have no semblance of peace.
I think it isn't lost on anybody that things aren't nearly as normal as they should be. Things are tense. But yet, as I went there, I realized that things were limping back to some amount of normalcy, that, this sort of buffer zone had kept communities that were at loggerheads away from each other in an effort to be able to, get some sort of semblance of a normal life back in the state. However, let me address a couple of points here. One of the points is that no, it has not been lost on anybody that when Dr. Jaishankar says that migrants are a problem, he's talking about the migrants in Myanmar. And when we are talking about, sir, Dr. Haukip, I'm speaking to you, that it is not just refugees. We know very well that across the border, there are insurgent groups that are active, whether it's in Arakan, whether it's in Chin, whether it's in Rakhine. So if there is an issue of migration, that issue also covers a huge gamut of other problems wherein we are unable to trace or identify whether these are vested interests, whether these are insurgents, or whether these are people who really require refugee status. One of the other problems is that Mizoram has a registry of 40,000 refugees, and for some reason Manipur doesn't. Having said that, this sort of 16-kilometer boundary freeway that we are talking about, recently the Chief Minister of the state had given notification for that to be barred now. And I think that is a good move, because this sort of a sensitive time demands these kind of harsh and maybe heavy-handed initiatives to stop this sort of immigration. But if you remember, Karthike, from day one, I have been saying that if communities want to live on the borders, then they also have to be responsible for this sort of illegal immigration that has come in and caused this sort of problem in the state. But if you're unwilling to accept that there is illegal immigration, there is insurgency that is overflowing from across the border, then I doubt that you're able to even without bias identify the kind of people that are coming in. Number three, I really think it's important that I clarify this, that the conflict did not start on the 4th, it started on the 3rd in Jaishankar.
Okay, Dr. Haukib, please respond to it.
Yeah, regarding this migrants or so-called refugees, I think instead of antagonizing the people in the borderland, we should try to, win their hearts and minds, cooperate with them. And, the civil society organizations in this borderland should be contacted by the government rather than, having a kind of antagonistic approach to them. When you win the hearts and mind, when the people in borderland are on your side, I think detecting those immigrants, it will be very easy. So we should change our approach. I'm with, the government in terms of suggesting tactics and other kinds of, policies that would be as much as I had suggested on reducing the kind of, illicit cultivation we have in the hills. So we should look into all this, instead of antagonizing, we should cooperate, with the civil society organizations, the village chief and others. And, regarding IPLF press release, as the maxim goes that justice delayed is justice denied. There is no evident progress in the kind of investigations where the cookies are victims on the 3rd and 4th of May. So we should look into the kind of differential progress that had happened in the last 4.5 months. We should look into all these issues because people are quite aware about what is going on. This is the age of information. Every minute, every hour, there are, reports or people can be informed through phones and other means. So the government of India as well as the government of Manipur should speak in equal terms so that the problems of the hills are, also looked into. And on the other hand, I just also listened to the, a press conference of the Chief Minister of Manipur, where he said that he indirectly already blamed the Kuki militants for the killing of these 2 innocent souls. I don't know where is the CBI has been just given the charge of investigation this, and how can you already made a conclusion that the Kuki militants are already responsible? We as a head of government, he should have been more careful in terms of this. People could be agitated by this kind of statements. It's not just people around in Facebook or Twitter making certain allegations or comments. He's the head of government. He should have been more careful unless there is a clear evidence, shown by the CBI after, a thorough investigation to this kind of problems.
Rami, you wanted to come in? Yeah, Rami, you wanted to come in?
Yes, okay. I wanted to come in because I absolutely forgot to point one thing out. You mentioned in the ITLF notice that these young children were called, it was insinuated that they were, with each other or they were a couple. This sort of low-level commentary is absolutely not needed at this point, when their parents are suffering the worst suffering that anybody could imagine. Do you think that it matters whether they were boyfriend or girlfriend or whether they were together or whether they were not? I think, it would make a great gesture if, the tribal community actually comes out and condemns this sort of a notice that insinuates rubbish like this. Number 2, Karthike, I think it's also very important for us to realize that yes, till proven guilty, it's not right to point a finger at an entire community. But having said that, I also think it's time when the young ladies were paraded naked. You know, there was absolute support for the fact that not just the perpetrators, and I was on your debate multiple times, and I said this myself, and I saw the kind of hurt and pain on social media as well, where irrespective of the community, everybody said that not just the perpetrator should be arrested, but people who were videoing it and people who were watching it should be arrested as well. When the same thing happened with the ambulance, I said the same thing, and so did many others. And I think it is high time for communities to come together against this heinous crime, irrespective of what community these children were from, and irrespective of whether they were together, not together, or, you know, other lame facts like this.
But you know, Rami, if you look at the larger picture, it also goes on to show that somehow whatever administrative actions that were taken were not fit enough in long run, in the sense that everything had to be retracted, like internet. You know, you had to withdraw it. You know, it didn't have deep roots. Or for example, suddenly other areas being disturbed. It means that no deep roots. I think the actions have not taken deep roots. You know, certain administrative security actions must create deep roots. Those deep roots have not been created, Rami. That is one thing which has become very evident.
I think you're obviously quite right. Rajesh has said this, and my co-panelists have said this as well. And there's no reason why I shouldn't agree to that. That, you know, we have to try harder. There has to be more creative ways to be tackling this. But again, we have to understand this from the sheer level of community dysfunctionality that we are seeing at this point. You see, Karthikeya, the fact of the matter is that there are vested interests that have certain amount of investment in keeping this turmoil alive. Otherwise, simply the way these photographs had been designed to be released at a particular time would not have happened. It has happened so that when the internet ban was lifted, when normalcy was coming in, when curfew was lifted, these photographs would create more turmoil. And I think, you know, that kind of infiltration into the system is very difficult to get rid of. Number one. Number two, we have enough forces on ground. We have multiple SITs on ground. You know, the cases are immense. There were, last I heard, over 11,500 FIRs. Just to file one FIR, the kind of pressure, you know, that it takes, the kind of time that it takes. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be done. Of course it should be. But this is unfortunately the reality, that the time consumption is huge to put all of these processes into place. But I don't think it is going to be long before we start seeing results, and as we should expect results. And I don't think that time is far away, and I don't think that perpetrators of this violence are going to be able to get away with it for too long. But it is a complex situation. We've seen the multi-layers that impact it, and it is going to take time to be able to navigate through that. But like I said, okay, there are multiple SITs. This is not the first SIT that is sitting in Manipur. There are over 20 already looking at cases. And I think we have to give them the time that they deserve if we want real investigation.
You know, there's another aspect, General Sivaj, then I'll come back to you again. You know, buffer zone is creating certain odd patches of peace. But you know, buffer zone is not the permanent solution. That is a temporary solution. The permanent solution is that these guns need to come back. It's as simple as that. You can't have a hill area in Manipur and you can't have a valley area in Manipur.
Absolutely. See, the point is very valid. It is the only a temporary measure to ensure that the violence reduces. Because when the two groups are having no faith in each other, both are armed to their teeth, and in case they fight it, there will be more casualty. The only best solution was to ensure that there is a buffer zone between both these warring groups, and they are not allowed to fight with each other. But that does not mean the problem is resolved. Problem is not resolved. Problem is only resolved once the peace comes permanent, and that will only come once the weapons are taken out from society. Now, there are about 10,000 weapons which are either looted or which has come from Myanmar, is a cause of concern. Now, very good actions have been taken. Now, at least they are trying to seal the border. I suppose CM has also passed this message. Now, we must understand what's happening in Myanmar. The Western Myanmar is disturbed. There are number of militant groups which are operating, which are been having a lot of connection with China. Initially in 60s and 70s, when I was operating in Mizoram in 70, the complete Mizo National Front used to get complete support from China. They used to come stay in Chittagong Hills, also in Myanmar. Now remember China-Myanmar economic corridor, the Arakans which are there operating there in Western Myanmar, the Chinese very cleverly has signed a pact with them, because this China-Myanmar economic corridor is coming from Yunnan province and going to Kuakapu. So the point which is coming is, all these militant group and all these things, they care to hoops, and that's why that due to pressure there in Myanmar, number of migrants of Chin population and others have come to India, and they are now settled. They are also involved in drug cultivation. This is a fact we must understand. We must find it out who are these. But they have come over a period of time because the border is porous. And therefore, you need to seal the border and make sure that the involvement of Myanmar or China is reduced to the minimum. The good point which is there in last about 10-15 days which has happened is, the police is trying to be effective. They are trying to be objective, impartial. They are taking action. And also the Assam Rifle and Army, they are cooperating, coordinating. That is a plus point which is happening now. They are now start acting on the ground. But what is not to our liking is that we thought the time is a great healer. As the time passed by, the violence will reduce. But that has not happened. The moment one case takes place, we come back to square one. So therefore, there is a requirement of taking this case de novo. And de novo, I've been telling time and again, until unless you don't take out these weapons which are very sophisticated, you will not find the violence being reduced, because they do not worry about police, they don't worry about the security forces, because they are armed till the teeth, they can react and revolt. And it is not one-sided, it is both sides. So therefore, you have to make sure how do you get the weapon. And therefore, the operation has to be, combing operation is there, cordon and search has to be there, and the sealing of the border has to be done there. And also, you have to be strict on both these things. Police start now acting at least. Earlier, you find the police was considered to be partial or not very objective. They were subjective, but now no one can question them. They have taken certain action wherein you can say, yes, they have started now acting on ground, and that is what is required.
Sir, I'll just hold your thought for a minute. I'll just repeat the name of the 19th station. Rest have been declared. We have got the notification of the government of Manipur. It's an official notification. It says Imphal, Lamphai, City, Sangjamai, Sekma, Lamsang, Patsoi, Wangoi, Porumpat, Hangyang, Lamlai, Iringbung, Lamakhong, Thubal, Bishtupur, Nambol, Moirang, Kakching, Jiribam. Apart from this, entire area is disturbed. It's an official notification. The news which I gave you, it's the official notification that has come.
You know what you are trying to convey is that in 19 police stations there is no Armed Forces Special Power Act, which wasn't there. And as far as the hills are concerned, it still was there. So they have only now extended the time period. So wherever there is no Armed Forces Special Power Act, the challenge for the security forces is there. When they have to go for cordon and search and combing operation, they have to take a magistrate. There are do's and don'ts. It's a very, very tidy and tedious job. And therefore the problem comes. But all said and done, you can't do anything. This Armed Forces Special Power Act is not there. You have to go whatever is being happening on ground.
Yes, you are right, General Siraj, but I also have to say police and army also has a very tough time, you have such heavy weapons which are, all over the place. I think the sort of, sorry to use the word, the sort of cleaning which needs to be done in both the areas is an immense task for any state administration. Rami, Biren Singh enjoys the support of the centre. Today Biren Singh very categorically said that this is what the Home Minister told him. He has got the political backing. He has got the political dividend. He has the political FD. why isn't being put to use for taking tough measures, just going ahead with it. Anti-narcotic task force has been formed, biometrics is being done, CBI has been handed over cases. You were there in Manipur, why aren't the guns coming back? In the numbers they should. They are coming back, but not in the numbers they should.
Kartike, you're right, when you say that tough measures have been taken, because they have. Yes, the impact that we yet wait to see on ground might not be coming as fast as we want it to. The results might not be coming as fast as we need them to. But unfortunately, that is the fallout of prolonged conflicts and conflicts between two communities that have lived side by side for so long. There is no way or nowhere one over the other community can go anywhere now. They have to live there. Therefore, the peace has to come from within. Now, if you're asking me why is disarming them so difficult, because of the lack of trust, because one community will say, well, let the other disarm and then we'll disarm, and the other community will say, well, we don't trust the other community to not attack us if we are unarmed. So this is the kind of rhetoric that I heard over and over again. But over and above that, Kartike, a lot of the weapons, a lot of the arming, a lot of possibly people are coming from across the border. This possibly could also be heightened by the kind of insurgent activity that we've seen across the border that has an impact on ground in Manipur. We'd also heard, and we know this, and I've heard this on ground, that even the Sioux agreement, there was recruitment actively happening. So it's not people like you or me, or the panelists or me, that given a weapon will use that weapon. It is the fringe element that will do so, and to bring weapons back is very difficult. Of course, combing operations have
you
happened.
really use the key word. Rami, how do you handle the fringe? I think that's the key word. Fringe from all sides.
Correct. And I've spoken to leadership from both the communities, and the leadership is by far more rational, wants a solution. Unfortunately, a lot of leadership can't come out and say this in the open, because there is a fear, there is a threat of the fringe element. And the only way that can be resolved is if communities decide to come together and put peace over and above a solution at this point. I am honestly tired of hearing people say that we want a solution before peace, because that is not possible. That is not a realistic plan. So I think communities have to, within their own communities, be able to identify who the fringe elements are, who the illegal migrants are, who the troublemakers are, who are the ones indulging in illegal activity. You need to have the courage to call them out, otherwise the solution is never going to come.
Okay, I think that's a very important point, but it's really disheartening to see the Manipur, has run into a situation like this. Entire areas have been, swaths of land has been declared disturbed. Lot of protests took place. Yes, Bridget, you were saying something?
Look at the kind of visuals which have come in.
These visuals have been shot by people. These visuals have been shot by people. And these are the protests that Imphal has witnessed. And people are angry with the killing of these two people. The way those two women were paraded naked and assaulted, outraged the people of this country. The killing of these two young people who eloped has outraged the entire country again. It's just that they belong to two different ethnicities. And I think the bottom line here is that somehow the guns need to come back. I think the earlier teething problems of Assam Rifle and Manipur Police do not exist. The operations are happening. But I think some sort of intervention is required. Those debates are futile. President rule, no president rule. I think it's not important. But Jaishankar's statement definitely is a pointer in as to what the government is thinking about. Let's see how those decisions that the Chief Minister had taken work. Anti-narcotic task force, identifying illegal immigrants, and most important of all, ensuring a smooth operation between Assam Rifle and Manipur. But for now, I think some sort of normalcy on the road needs to be present, and I think people should be told to exercise restraint. There is anger on the street, but then it doesn't mean that the entire system can be turned around. Biren Singh has a tough job to do right now. He's got a really tough situation to handle. I thought 48 hours ago when the internet ban was lifted that good news has come, but you see in 24 hours, 30 hours, the ban is back.
How do you define success? And is success important?
Success is the only thing that's there in life.
So between happiness and success, which would you prioritize?
Happiness is also success, isn't it?
And then success leads you to happiness.
No.
Then,
Why do you need happiness when you're successful?
how do you feel once you're successful? There's a feeling. Happiness is an expression of your
already
feeling.
exuberant and blissed out.
An ordinary person like me.
You're a very special guy, you keep on saying, I'm ordinary, I'm ordinary.
No, as I said, ordinary is extraordinary. So maybe somewhere in my mind, believe that I'm extraordinary.
Duologue with Barun Das featuring Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev. World premiere on